Hi guys, in this video we're gonna talk about exchange rate. Do you ever see this writing? $1 equals to 14,087.8 rupiah. I believe that you ever see this, moreover if you even go abroad. That is nominal exchange rate. One more time, this is nominal exchange rate. What is nominal exchange rate? Nominal exchange rate is the rate at which two currencies can be traded for each other. One more time, nominal exchange rate is the rate at which two currencies can be traded for each other. In this case, the currencies are rupiah and also US dollar. If $1 equals to 14,087.5 rupiah, it means 1 rupiah equals to $1 divided by 14,087.5. It equals to 0.000071 Do you ever hear this term? The currency is stronger. The currency is weaker. What is that? It is appreciation and depreciation. One more time, it is appreciation and depreciation. Appreciation is an increase in the value of the currency relative to other currency, while depreciation is a decrease in the value of the currency relative to the other currency. Example, $1 equals to 14,000 rupiah, and then it becomes $1 equals to 13,000 rupiah. We can see here that $1 toward rupiah is decreasing. $1 14,000 rupiah, it becomes $1 13,000 rupiah. We can say that dollar gets weaker toward rupiah. We call this as dollar depreciates toward rupiah. While rupiah is other way around. It appreciates toward dollar. To make sure we can convert into 1 rupiah equals to how much dollar? If 1 US dollar equals to 14,000 rupiah, it means 1 rupiah equals to 0.00000714 dollar. But if $1 equals to 13,000 rupiah, it means 1 rupiah equals to 0.00000769. It shows that rupiah appreciates toward dollar. Now, there are two types of exchange rate system. The first one is flexible exchange rate system. The value of exchange rate is not officially fixed, but varies according to the demand and supply. For example, in Indonesia and also in US. Second is fixed exchange rate system, an exchange rate whose value is set by official government policy. For example, in Arab Saudi. Let's discuss each of them more detail. The first one, we're gonna talk about flexible exchange rate system. Look at this graph. This is the graph of supply and demand of dollar. We will analyze two currency, dollar and rupiah. So the x-axis is the quantity of dollar, while the y-axis is exchange rate of other currency per currency that is analyzed. In this case, we analyze dollar. It means the x-axis is dollar. And the y-axis, because we're gonna compare with rupiah, the y-axis will be rupiah per dollar. There are two terms that you have to understand about demand and supply. Demand dollar, it means people buy dollar. Supply dollar means people sell dollar. The example is like this. When I want to convert my rupiah into dollar, it means I buy dollar and I sell rupiah. Is it clear, right? Now, I want to ask you, what cause people sell dollar? If people sell dollar, it means people buy rupiah, since we assume there are two currency only, dollar and also rupiah. The first possible answer is an increase in the preference for Indonesia's good. Many Americans try to purchase Indonesia good by selling dollar and purchase rupiah. The second one is an increase in US real GDP. It will cause many consumption and they try to sell dollar to buy other currency. And the third one is an increase in the real interest rate on Indonesia assets. People choose to purchase Indonesia asset and then they sell dollar to purchase rupiah. Those three reasons will make the supply of dollar increase. Therefore, the supply curve will shift to the right. What will happen? It will result $1 equals to lower rupiah nominal. Or I can say that dollar depreciates. When dollar depreciates, it means rupiah appreciates. You can see from this graph, if the x-axis is the quantity of rupiah, the y-axis is dollar per rupiah since we analyze rupiah. Demand of rupiah increase, it will shift the demand curve to the right. It shows that the exchange rate of rupiah is stronger, or we can say that rupiah appreciates. Previously, we learned what factors cause people sell dollar and purchase rupiah. Now, if I ask you what cause people purchase dollar and sell rupiah, of course it is the other way around. Increased preference of US goods, increase in real GDP abroad, and increase in the real interest rate in US assets. When people buy dollar, it will shift the demand curve to the right and dollar will appreciate. The key takeaway here, when the currency is purchased by most people, it will appreciate. If the currency is sold by most of the people, the currency will depreciate. After we learn about flexible exchange rate system, let's talk about fixed exchange rate system. In fixed exchange rate system, the government peg its currency to a major currency. Example, Saudi Arabia sets $1 equals to 3.75 Saudi Arabia Rial. The government has power to devalue or revalue its currency. Devaluation is a reduction in the official value of a currency in a fixed exchange rate system, while revaluation is an increase in the official value of a currency in a fixed exchange rate system. How fixed exchange rate system works? See this graph. This graph is used only for illustration. Assume that peso set fixed exchange rate toward rupiah. 1 peso equals to 0.004 rupiah. This we call as official value. Now see the equilibrium point when demand curve and supply curve intersects. This we call as fundamental value. The equilibrium point is 1 peso equals to 0.0032 rupiah. We can see here the official value is higher than the equilibrium point. This we call as overvalued exchange rate. If the official value is not the same with the equilibrium point, it means the government needs to do something to make equilibrium point equals to the official value. What could the government do? The first one is if the government wants the value is fixed at 1 peso equals to 0.004 rupiah, the government needs to shift the demand to the right. It means the government needs to buy peso and make the equilibrium point 1 peso equals to 0.004 rupiah. That's why each country needs to have some international reserve. It is foreign currency assets held by the government. So if a country wants to conduct fixed exchange system, they have to have a lot of international reserve. And the government can impose trade barrier to minimize purchase of other countries' currency. In this case, Indonesia's currency. Or the second one that the government can do is the government can devalue its official value. 1 peso equals to 0.0032 rupiah. How if it is undervalued? It is the other way around. The government needs to purchase other countries' currency. Do you get the idea? Now, this is the important term that you have to know. Balance of payment. What is balance of payment? Balance of payment is record of all international trade and financial transactions made by a country's residents. If a country's international reserve increase, it will show surplus balance of payment. While if a country's international reserve decrease, it will show deficit balance of payment. Last but not least, important exchange rate theory is purchasing power parity or PPP. Purchasing power parity. If 1 US dollar equals to 14,000 rupiah, if in US the price of television is $100, it means price the same television in Indonesia should be 100 times 40,000 rupiah. It equals to 1.4 million rupiah. That we call as law of one price. It states that the price of an identical asset must be the same globally. Purchasing power parity or PPP is almost the same with the law of one price but in wider scope. It is not only related to the price of the product but for a basket of goods and services. But some experts mention that the nominal exchange rate has to be adjusted with the inflation. And in the long run, countries that experience significant inflation will tend to depreciate. My question is that, do you think that purchasing power parity or PPP works? This theory works in the long run, but this also has several shortcomings. The first one is transportation costs are assumed relatively small. Therefore, the price of the good in US will be the same with the price of the goods in Indonesia. The second one is that not all goods and services are traded internationally. The greater share of non-traded goods, the less precise of PPP theory. For example, barber in Indonesia will be different with barber in US. It is impossible to trade US barber to Indonesia, right? And then the third one is not all internationally traded goods and services are perfectly standardized commodities. Grain in US and grain in Indonesia will be different. Do you get the idea about exchange rate, right? So as the conclusion, basically there are two types of exchange rate system. The first one is flexible exchange rate system based on supply and demand of the currency. The second one is fixed exchange rate system. It is set fixed by the government. The country with fixed exchange rate system needs a lot of international reserve to maintain its currency. That is also an important theory of exchange rate, that is purchasing power parity or PPP. It states that the price of a basket of goods and services in other country should be the same globally, referred to its nominal exchange rate. This theory works for the long run but also have several shortcomings.